When it rains, it pours. Why the one-day series has ended in a stalemate, and why Mark Waugh has concerns for the game itself.
I've got to be honest, I think the standard has dropped a little bit.
Your answers are here on Sports Tonight. Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Phelan. Welcome to Sports Tonight. There's a few people with plenty to celebrate tonight. We'll reveal how the West won, why they got a start in Rugby's Super 14.
It's great news for Western Australia, but most importantly, I believe it's great news for rugby.
Why Brad Hughes would be excited about getting a case of deja vu at Huntingdale.
Got it. He has got it.
And sometimes taking a wicket at the cricket can get you into trouble. And we start with cricket, and the pace race for Pakistan in Perth has taken a new twist with tonight's Chapel Hadley decider a washout in Brisbane. The match was the last chance for Michael Kasperwitz and Brett Lee to press for a spot in Thursday's opening test.
Brett Lee has his hand up for a spot on the pacey Wacker deck, but rain stopped any head-to-head battle with Michael Kasperwitz. Kasper's front-runner for a spot after outstanding tours of Sri Lanka and India. The Aussies unlikely to play 4 quicks.
Our danger, I guess, is their quality fast bowlers, that they could go through us early in Perth as well and we'd be left with a batsman short.
Bad weather means the inaugural Chapel Hadley Trophy stays in the cupboard without a ball being bowled in Game 3. A huge letdown with the series poised at 1 win apiece.
2 games have been excellent one-day games, and I don't think this one would have been any different. I guess we just now look forward to continuing the competition back in New Zealand.
The return series starts in February, Australia hoping to have a malfunctioning middle order fixed before 5 one-dayers to decide who's best. Man of the series went to black cap spinner Daniel Vettori. His 4 wickets and 33 runs edging out Aussies Adam Gilchrist and Darren Lehmann, who both scored back-to-back 50s. After a lean tour of Australia, Kiwi opener Mark Richardson has announced his retirement from all forms of the game. The 33-year-old calls it quits with a test average of 44 from 38 matches. Relief for Lehmann, there's no rematch of the heavyweight dash ahead.
Go West, that's the catch cry from the Australian Rugby Union tonight, with Western Australia beating Victoria to be the home of the new Super 14 team in 2006.
The Australian Rugby Union Board has today announced that the location of the new Super 14 team will be Perth, Western Australia.
The ARU was unanimous in bypassing Victoria for Perth. The overwhelming community support for a team in Perth won the day. It was a victory for people power. The ARU board met for 4 hours before ending a 3-month-long debate as to who'd be chosen. WA won because it best met the criteria set.
Perth bid, or the Western Australian submission, highlighted excellent training facilities, playing facilities, a strong and balanced sponsorship portfolio and a commercial program with committed support from state and local government, business and, importantly, the grassroots of the rugby community in Western Australia.
The long and short of it for Victoria was that they thought they more than met the criteria, believing that the ARU may have been scared off by AFL.
I think the challenge put to the Australian Rugby Union to really contest rugby in Australia's sporting capital was one that obviously has not been taken up.
WA Premier Jeff Gallop has been holidaying in Sydney for 3 days, but when news of the decision broke, he was there to proudly enjoy the moment for his state.
It's great news for Western Australia, but most importantly, I believe it's great news for rugby, because I can assure everyone that supports the sport that there will be strong, passionate support coming from Perth.
Brad Hughes has continued his blitz at Huntingdale to take a 4-stroke lead after 2 rounds of the Masters. He set a course record 64 when he completed his rain-interrupted first round this morning, then followed up with a 66. Some big names, though, are within striking distance, including Robert Allenby and Peter Lonard.
The skies were still threatening the course, and so was Brad Hughes. He resumed his first round early this morning and took up where he left off.
An absolute cracker.
Stuart Appleby did enough to be a handy 6 under par for the tournament with back-to-back rounds of 69. After struggling yesterday, Adam Scott finally managed to get his putter working. 5 birdies in his round to go into the weekend 9 shots off the pace. But Hughes continued his march, driving to the green on the 9th to create a 2-shot buffer.
Man, he is swinging it so good, Hugo, I tell you what.
Bright young Colombian Camilo Villegas had the perfect solution to the grey skies as he stayed in contention.
That hasn't affected his putting, however.
He must have got dressed in the dark, surely.
Veteran Peter Senior started his run in the middle holes with 3 birdies and an eagle before draining this monster putt at 14 to go 7 under.
Look out.
Birdie to Peter Senior.
Popular US international Corey Pavin continued his excellent start to the Masters, coming back in off the rough to make birdie at the first.
And what a piece of magic!
Oh!
Jared Mosley, who was in the playoff last year, set himself up for the weekend with a round of 67 to be 8 under. But it was Brad Hughes who surged at 16 and eventually finished with a round of 66 to go with his first round course record of 64.
He's got it. He has got it. And he's careered away.
Defending champion Robert Allenby made his move through the middle of the course with a string of birdies.
Bingo.
Yes. American Ricky Barnes less than impressed with his double bogey at 14, but star supporter Tamsin Lewis could see the funny side. Pre-tournament favourite Peter Lonard had a slow start, but was quickly back amongst the leaders. This at the par 3 12th ended in a birdie.
So Brad Hughes leads the Masters by 4 shots at the halfway mark. Robert Allenby 1 shot back, and Peter Lonard is well placed to challenge for a 4th title of the summer. Stay with us on Sports Tonight. All your footy news after the break. And the news is all good for Peter Schwab.
So I could get sacked again, Mike.
Why the news could be better for Matthew Primus, and why some bad news often makes a great plays of the week. Welcome back. The AFL has kicked off its radical revamp of the tribunal system, appointing Peter Schwab to head its new match review panel. The former Hawthorn coach is confident it will drastically improve the judicial side of the game.
In 2004, he's been to hell and back. Now approaching a new year, Peter Schwab is putting his head back on the chopping block. So I could get sacked again, Mike. Schwab will act as the chairman of the newly formed match review panel. He'll be joined by a former umpire and a former player. Their job next season to review all games, make reports and determine fixed penalties.
It's something new to the game, and I think it's going to help it. And I just, for me, wanting to stay involved with football is the reason, I've decided to do it.
Schwab's old Chargers arrived home this afternoon from their Kokoda experience. A 96k trek tested most. Fortunately, all touched down safely, far richer by the experience.
Being at the cemetery yesterday at the end of the journey was really quite an emotional time. You could see the boys, thinking about where they've just been, and I think it just brought the whole trip to an end.
From Kokoda to Mount Buller's summit, the Blues have wound up their action-packed week, where the schedule included everything from hiking to tennis. Rock climbing.
Exciting way to start the morning, and the boys had a bit of a laugh and had a spill, so they enjoyed that.
Mountain biking.
God help me.
The Blues left muddied and exhausted, but happy prior to their Christmas break.
Just so good for your mental mind and that, so you can get away and sort of have a different approach about it. And it's good for the boys. We can all get together and have some fun time in the relaxing time.
After the heartbreak of missing out on the Powers premiership victory, Port Adelaide skipper Matt Primus has declared he won't give up the club's captaincy in 2005. Despite missing most of the past 2 years with knee injuries, Primus still dreams of leading Port to a flag. The ruckman reluctant to pass on his leadership role to the season's acting captain, Warren Treadray.
I would still like to have him. Treaders will be captain one day of the club, but we'll sit down and see what's best for myself and Warren and the team, and discuss it when we get closer to playing footy.
Mark Williams will wait until January before making a decision on the captaincy. The Brisbane Bullets today ended days of speculation by confirming star import Kevin Freeman has been sacked. Freeman flew out of the country today, leaving coach Joey Wright to explain the bizarre circumstances.
Training today and there's no Kevin Freeman. This, the Bullets say, is all too familiar. They claim Freeman was released because he spent far too much time on the sidelines through injury, and not because he clashed with the coach.
If it was a personality clash, it was due to the injuries and the situations arising from the injuries. Kevin, had amazing ability on the court, but getting him to that point and getting him on the court was always an issue for me.
Wright's major gripe, he didn't believe Freeman did enough to get himself on the court.
I think in his mind he did. I think in his mind he did everything, that he needed to do and to get ready for the ball game. But, that's kind of where, I differed, my opinion a little bit.
It's understood a row erupted at training this week, with some reports suggesting a water cooler was hurled across a room.
The thing that is sort of abhorrently hard to understand for me is that people would think that you would cut a potential MVP candidate on the basis of a training incident.
The search for a replacement will begin overseas. If that's unsuccessful, they'll turn their sights to local talent. Ex-Wildcat Rashard Tucker, one possible candidate. Whoever they pick, the Bullets know they'll be lucky to get a player as gifted as Freeman.
Kevin could have been one of the best players ever to play here. I mean, he's certainly in the top 5 players to ever play in Australia.
Let's check some scores from tonight's round of the NBL games, and the Razorbacks back on track, beating the Adelaide 36ers by 16 points. In Auckland, Marcus Timmins was impressive in his first run with the Breakers after being cut from Cairns. He scored 25 points in New Zealand's win over the Pirates, and the Wildcats ended league leader Wollongong's unbeaten home run. New Zealand maxi Konica Minolta has tuned up for the Sydney to Hobart with a comfortable win in today's Big Boat Challenge on Sydney Harbour. The yacht, which finished second in last year's Sydney to Hobart, racing as Zana, took the lead shortly after the start of the 14 nautical mile event. Last year's Hobart winner, Scandia, tore a spinnaker and battled the harbour traffic to finish third, but it was the Kiwis right at home in the overcast conditions, going on to win by more than 3 minutes.
Obviously feel good about the boat and good about themselves with something like this, and it doesn't make you relax, it just gets you focused and determined, knowing that you can do it.
Wild Oats finished second today, but is not contesting the Sydney to Hobart. After a 12-year career with the AFL team, the Sydney Swans, Darry Lewis has made the move into the coaching ranks. The 35-year-old has taken over the reins at Norwood in the South Australian National Football League, and the move from the Harbour City to the City of Churches has seen him reunite with some old mates and embrace a long-held passion.
Renowned for his clever skills and tenacity on the football field, the man affectionately known to his teammates as Booger was also regarded for his wit and character off it. So whenever he catches up with old teammates, good times and a laugh certainly flow, no matter what the boys get up to.
It's my induction into the Dead Duck Society, which is obviously past Sydney Swans players. Obviously chosen a game that I've been very good at and have a history of being probably club champion for 4 or 5 years in Sydney through the early 90s.
Lewis hopes to bring his vitality to the lawn bowls scene in Adelaide, as well as his new football club. So far in pre-season training, Lewis has done all the hard work with his team, but he's resisting the temptation to lace up the boots. Instead, he's planning on mastering the Adelaide greens for fitness.
Look, I don't drop from the hip like my pop used to. I really try and get the knee down, and look, the greens are... I spoke to Bruce, the greenskeeper here at Adelaide Bowling Club, and look, they're not running at 18 or 19, which I do like, but they're about 14 or 15. It'll take some getting used to.
Some former Swans officials joined several past players for the day of Dead Duck Bowling. Among those to star were the wily Max James, underrated utility Robbie Neal, and the extremely serious and focused bowler Troy Gray.
Look, he's a guy who couldn't play much football over the years, whether it be through injury or form, but he's obviously spent a lot of time in the greens here in Adelaide.
On the serious side, Lewis knows he'll find it hard to find time for his bowling passion as the winter rolls around. His side finished bottom on the SANFL ladder last season, so he'll be needing to put all his energies into lifting the Redlegs up the ladder and into finals contention.
An Adelaide teenager could be on track to become Australia's first female Grand Prix driver. She's about to join the Formula 3000 class and also plans to tackle our famous V8 supercars.
Most 17-year-old girls aren't excited by that sound, but it's what drives Emma Pease to be the best.
I'd like to be the first female to win Bathurst, so I guess that would be an ultimate goal for me. I could get there. It just depends how much input I put into it, so But yeah, I could get there if I tried.
After 7 years competing in go-karts, Emma is about to take the huge leap to Formula 3000 with the Sydney-based Pure Power team. It's the next category down from Formula 1.
I'd take any opportunity, really. If I got to drive in a Formula 1, I'd take it.
She will get the chance to drive support races in the Clipsal 500 and the Australian Grand Prix, but being a woman in a male-dominated sport has its drawbacks.
It's harder to get sponsors because you're a female and they think, oh, a female in a motor racing sport is not that important. That just gives me the urge to try harder and get to the top.
While Emma's been hooning around on go-karts at 100 k's an hour since the age of 10, she's ironically only just got her open road licence, but she says she does not speed on the streets.
It's a bit hard to keep your speed up. Like after I've done a race meeting and I'm driving home, you're just tempted to go that little bit faster.
Still to come on Sports Tonight, why this woman could break new ground in the V8 supercars.
I could get there. It just depends how much input I put into it.
And we chat to Mark Waugh about cricket and the true love in his life, horses.
I'm certainly into it. I love just going to the races. I love following the form, having a bet.
Famous motor racing circuit Silverstone has been given a reprieve and will continue to stage a Formula 1 Grand Prix, but the historic home of Formula 1 has been warned it must modernise to stay on the racing calendar.
Oh, great start by Raikkonen.
After several false starts and as many twists and turns as a Silverstone chicane, the British Grand Prix is back on. The track's owners have signed a deal for 5 years, starting on July the 10th.
For the British enthusiasts, we've retained the British Grand Prix, the largest sporting event in the United Kingdom, a place where motor racing, we are the capital of the world. And we're, I think, very happy.
Silverstone began life as a World War II airfield and it staged the first Grand Prix race back in 1950. But Formula 1 has moved on with new state-of-the-art circuits all over the world, so Silverstone has been warned that it has to improve its facilities.
If they're not improved by the time the contract runs out, we won't renew the contract, obviously. So we've given them plenty of time to do what they should have done a few years ago.
The Silverstone Grand Prix isn't just important to the local economy. 6 of the 10 Formula 1 teams are based in Britain, and it's seen as a flagship race for an industry which is worth nearly £5 billion a year.
Britain must have a flagship Grand Prix event to wave the flag, to tell the world that we are good at this. And a Formula 1 calendar without a British Grand Prix, I think, would spell the death of the industry.
Tiger Woods has fired himself into a share of the early lead at the $7 million Target World Challenge in California. Coming off his win in Japan last month, Woods shot a 4 under round 67 to sit level with Jim Furyk and Colin Montgomery. It's a star-studded leaderboard with Fred Couples, Miguel Angel Jimenez and Padraig Harrington all just a shot off the pace.
Grade 4. Wow. I think it's a Euro thing.
But world number 1 Vijay Singh struggled for most of the round. He's 7 shots back at 3 over. Former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson is facing another stint in prison after he was arrested in Arizona. Things aren't going too well for the convicted rapist, who has also filed for bankruptcy. He could spend up to 6 years behind bars after allegedly jumping on the hood of a car outside a nightclub and causing around $2,000 in damage. Iron Mike was preparing for another comeback in the ring. He hasn't fought since getting knocked out by Danny Williams in July. To the NBA, and the Portland Trail Blazers are at home to the Boston Celtics. The game, a thriller right from the word go, with guard Gary Payton giving the Celtics a slim 2-point lead at half-time. His backcourt partner Tony Allen also doing his part, scoring 8 consecutive points in the 4th period.
Oh, Tony Allen, the Big 12 Player of the Year with the nice-looking jam.
The Celtics holding a 1-point lead with just a few seconds remaining, but it proved to be long enough for the Blazers to deliver.
This is for the win.
Sharif Abdul-Rahim, the hero, the Blazers winning 89-87. You might have retired at the end of last season, but Mark Waugh certainly hasn't been idle. Apart from throwing himself into a new career challenge, he's also kept a close eye on the cricketing world.
The flamboyance and grace Mark Waugh displayed at the batting crease ensured he'd be remembered as one of the game's great batsmen.
Look at the expression on Mark Waugh's face there.
And if Waugh had his way, he'd still be taking guard in the game's international arena.
Look, you've got to stop some stage. I mean, I'm probably fit enough to keep playing. I think, you know, if I was playing for another country, I'd still be good enough to play international cricket. But the facts are I wasn't scoring enough runs. I got dropped from the Australian team and someone else took my spot.
Waugh's maintained his ties with the game as a commentator, but as someone now on the outside looking in, he has concerns about the shape of cricket.
To be honest, I think the standard has dropped a little bit, particularly the bowling ranks around the world. I think there's just so many runs being scored at the moment. And I guess with Bangladesh and Zimbabwe playing Test cricket, I think it sort of devalues a bit, the Test match statistics.
These days, Waugh is literally at home among a stable of champion thoroughbreds, but he's paying for living and breathing his passion.
I'm actually allergic to horses. While I love looking at them and giving them the occasional pat, I don't think training horses would be too good for my health, and I probably don't know enough about it. I think I know a bit about it, but it's a very fine art, and it's not easy to get the best out of horses.
The renowned horse racing lover is offering punters a chance to experience the excitement of owning a thoroughbred in his Club Waugh racing syndication.
When you get very nervous, I've had quite a few good horses involved in harness racing and thoroughbred racing, and yeah, it's a real nervous time before a race, just like going into bat, waiting to go into bat. You're not quite sure what's going to happen, but you're obviously hopeful that it's going to be a successful outcome.
Mark Waugh loves a punt, and if you do as well, with the latest sport odds, here's Bill Anderson.
Tiger's the pick to win the Target Open, Ernie Els the Dunhill, but for us Aussies, it's all about the Masters. After just 2 rounds, the market's claiming only 3 players are in contention. Brad Hughes is $2.90. He was backed yesterday in one single wager to win $80,000. Robert Allenby's next, and he'd be our worst result. Punters have surprisingly stayed away from Peter Lonard. He's on the 3rd line. Richard Green's only a shot away from Lonard, but given little hope. Keep an eye out for our Pakistan-Australia cricket markets. In the meantime, ING Cup action sees the Blues $1.42, South Aussie $2.85. That big spread reflects their last encounter. While the VIX are $1.75, Tassie $2.05. Good early money for the Tigers with Bevan in fine touch. There's enormous interest in this weekend's Premier League with 3 local derbies on offer. First up, Everton slight outsiders at home to Liverpool. Aston Villa rock solid at $1.85 hosting Birmingham. And in the top of the table showdown, league leaders and title favourites Chelsea travel to arch rivals and reigning champs Arsenal. The money's been coming both ways, but at Highbury, we've made the Gunners returning $2.50 our tip of the week. Vitaly Klitschko is short odds to successfully defend his WBC heavyweight title, although Danny Williams' effort against Mike Tyson recently suggests the $4 could be above the odds. Early in 2005, the Australian Open tennis gets underway. Roger Federer heavily backed already at the tight quote of $2.10. Roddick, Hewitt and Safin are all single figures. The new year also leads us into the Super Bowl. New England dominated early betting, but Philadelphia now the rage. Of the other chances, Pittsburgh opened at $51, they're into $4.50, and the Colts $7. Good luck with your bets. Next week we're going to have a look at the Sydney to Hobart. Happy punting.
Now to the plays of the week for that other view of sport.
In a week when golf was labelled boring, we found at least one keen fan in South Africa. Michael Schumacher was putting the champ into the Champs-Élysées in his Formula One Tour de France. In Brisbane, there was the Tour de Pants slide. And more than water going down the pipeline in Hawaii. Not so good on the frozen water either. Quote of the week, Michael Kaspowitz.
Right, murdered someone?
When the Aussies go to Rio, they go to race, taking in the landscape and then taking off from it in the Giants of Rio relay. Rio Grande. Glenn McGrath may have some bad spells now and then, but surely not with his name.
He's gone for that one in the air, and oh, what a catch!
Now, is this bloke familiar? Is he the famous Mott who's been on the back of some non-major winners? Two inventive souvenir stump stealers in Perth. Note the key here is the baton change. And unlike the Rio races, these guys were caught beyond the boundary.
Like that, and that's for us tonight. I'm Ryan Phelan. Look forward to your company throughout the weekend. Bye for now.